Welcome to At Home with Economics. I'm Alice Meredith, and I'm here trying to do our second video on our Lessons from Venezuela series, where we talk about what's happening, the economic collapse in Venezuela, and what that means for us here in the United States in the lead up to the 2020 elections. I'm trying to get this done. I was trying to get it done before the kids woke up, and I did not succeed. So I'm trying to get it done real quick before breakfast, and hopefully little man who's here with me is going to cooperate. We'll see. We'll see. Yesterday we talked about price controls and the effect that price controls have in creating shortages, how we saw that played out in Venezuela, and what that means for us here in the United States in the lead up to the 2020 elections. So today we're going to be talking about social welfare programs, which I think are much more well known than price controls. Hey, buddy, shh. Much more well known than price controls. But I just want to give a quick definition. It's things like healthcare, education provided by the government, healthcare provided by the government, and things like Social Security, Medicaid, food stamps, and things like that. So we obviously have many of these programs in the United States. And in Venezuela, especially between 2001 and 2007, they had a very large expansion in their social welfare programs. They had things like soup banks, free education, healthcare, and pensions for retirees. So their version of Social Security. And they were able to pay for this because of the record high oil prices between about 2003, 2004, and then 2014. So they took a big chunk of the money from the nationalized oil company and put it towards social welfare programs, in fact, to the detriment of the nationalized oil company. And so that's how they were able to pay for it. But now that the oil prices are much lower, they're no longer able to provide those things for people. And so now the government healthcare has gone away. The government or the free education has gone away. The food banks have gone, or the soup kitchens have gone away. The pensions have gone away. Those programs, while they did provide an immediate benefit to the people who received them, free food for people who are starving is a good thing. But now it had created dependency on those programs on the part of the people in Venezuela. And so now that the free education has gone away, and the free healthcare has gone away, and the free food has gone away, the people don't have anywhere else to go. They didn't develop those things in their economy and in their communities, and for individuals they had become dependent on the government. So in addition to the very high cost of these social welfare programs, which we see in the United States, I think I'm really bad at numbers, but I think it's something like 2/3 of our federal budget goes to social welfare programs, things like Social Security. So there's a very high cost to these things. So what does that have to do with us here in the United States? Many of the Democratic candidates for president in 2020 are pushing social welfare programs. Some of them have gone so far as to advocate a basic income, which I'll talk about in just a second. And many of them, if not most of them, are advocating some form of free college education. So, basic guaranteed income. Andrew Yang, for example, is very much in favor of a basic guaranteed income, which might not be the word that he uses, but it basically is that every person gets a certain amount of money as a guarantee from the government for their well-being. And that sounds really good, because then, there wouldn't be anybody who didn't have any money. But it takes away a little bit of that incentive to work, which there is dignity in work. Work is a good thing, and when we take away work from people, they get depressed. People who are unemployed have very high rates of depression. Um, and when we take away that little bit of incentive, like a little bit of the incentive to work, and then people choose not to work, that is, they're becoming dependent on that guaranteed income. And when the government runs out of money, because that program would be incredibly expensive, when the government runs out of money, they will not have the resources and the wherewithal to continue their lifestyle, to continue providing for themselves and their family, because they have become dependent on the government. So similarly with free college education, the biggest problem here, the bigger problem is not dependency. The bigger problem is the cost of it. College education, not everybody needs a college education. Not every job requires a college education. There are many wonderful jobs that might require trade school. So things like welder, electrician, cosmetology. These are all really wonderful careers. Many of them pay more than my husband, who is a college professor. And they don't require a 4-year college degree. And so there's just sort of a basic, like, this is not necessary for our country. If people choose to go to college, then, they reap economic benefits from going to college. But the bigger problem is there is not enough space in colleges for everybody who graduates from high school. Because not everybody goes to college currently. And like I said, I don't think everybody should. But there's not enough space in colleges. It costs a lot of money to build buildings, maintain classrooms, buy equipment, hire janitors and professors and administrators. This is all very expensive. These programs that they're proposing are very expensive, and the only way to pay for it is through taxation, through raising your taxes. And so if you want for your family to avoid these higher taxes and to maintain the independence and lack of dependency on the government, then we need to make sure that we pay attention to these programs in the lead up to the 2020 election. So that's all I have for this one today. Tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to come back with talking about currency controls, which sounds really boring, but it actually is a big part of the problem in Venezuela. And we're going to talk about what that has to do with you here in the United States. So thank you and God bless.